Hello everyone, my name is Dan Wilson from Tri-States Oil Team, and I'm going to talk briefly about some of the tools and equipment we use to treat some of our non-avian patients. Despite Tri-State's name, when we respond to an oil spill incident that has wildlife impacts, the wildlife that's impacted isn't necessarily isolated to birds. So what kind of non-avian patients do we get? Well, we'll get reptiles like turtles and snakes, we'll get amphibians like frogs and salamanders, or we might even get the occasional mammal like a beaver. All of these patients offer unique challenges where we have to adapt existing equipment or improvise or purchase new equipment. So behind me, I have a selection of equipment that we use to treat our non-avian patients. So when we want to transport our patients, we might use these small plastic storage containers with locking lids. For larger patients, we may go with one of these larger plastic storage containers or even a dog kennel. When we want to house our patients, we might use something like this 10-gallon aquarium. Now, a setup like this was used recently to house a rough green snake we were treating. We might need to go with a larger plastic container like this one. This would be appropriate for maybe a box turtle. Or for our really large patients, we may need something like this 300-gallon stock tank that we would use for large snapping turtles. Inside the housing, we use hides, like the ceramic one inside this 10-gallon tank, or we might make our own out of a cardboard box. We'll also have plastic dishes for food and or water, and that will include some native plants or some rocks or some enrichment. And then we have some kind of substrate. In this case, we're using AstroTurf. For our really large patients, like snapping turtles, if we're using a stock tank like this, we'll put enough water in here to allow for the patient to completely submerge itself. And then inside we'll have a filter and a heater for the water. We'll have a ramp for the patient to be able to exit the water. And then above that ramp, we place a heat lamp for the patient to bask on. All of these containers are going to need some kind of screen lid to prevent escape. So for the aquarium, we use a standard aquarium screen top lid. Or for the stock tank, we might have to manufacture our own solution. When we wash our patients, we normally use large galvanized tubs. It's not always appropriate for our non-avian patients, so sometimes we'll use something smaller, like this blue dish tub. For really small patients, we might use something even smaller, a small Tupperware container. These patients offer some challenges that we don't have with avian patients. For instance, turtles have a hard shell and amphibians have really delicate skin. So we need to take these things into consideration when we're deciding how we're going to wash and what tools we're going to use. So for example, we use soft bristle toothbrushes for our avian patients. But this particular toothbrush is appropriate for a turtle, but it's a little too stiff for the feathers of an avian patient. So we'll use this type of toothbrush instead. We also have bottle brushes. A bottle brush offers both bristles and a soft sponge top. Or we might use this large scrub brush. This would be way too big to use on an avian patient, but it's perfect for use on a large snapping turtle shell. And the bristles actually, despite its appearance, are quite soft. Another thing we have to consider with non-avian patients is our safety as well as the patient's safety. So nobody wants to be on the receiving end of a snapping turtle bite. So some of the things we might do to protect ourselves is use a plunger to control the head. Or we might use an old coffee can to completely cover the head. So these are just some of the tools that we use to treat our non-avian patients. Thank you for watching.